Asa isang paa mo? Pakita mo. Tayo ka nga.
My uniform! My brother died in that uniform!
Over the years, wealth dynamics have drastically changed, creating divisions between the affluent and the impoverished. Sadly, countless individuals are left homeless, seeking charity on streets. While many genuine souls struggle daily, the act of begging has been abused by pretenders. Some of these counterfeit beggars employ elaborate ruses to deceive and gain sympathy. They often go to great lengths, crafting convincing stories to fool the public into generosity. This video will shed light on some of these imposters, revealing their deceptive tactics and just how far they've gone in their charade. Join us as we delve into the stories of 20 fake beggars who took their act too far, challenging our perceptions of those we see on the streets. Number 20. Mercedes-Benz owning pregnant beggar. In 2014, a story emerged from San Diego that raised eyebrows. Melissa Smith shared images of a pregnant woman and sometimes her family, begging daily at a city junction. However, a twist occurred when Melissa spotted this woman at a nearby gas station.
I felt bad. I mean, there's a pregnant lady with a little boy and is down on her luck.
To Melissa's astonishment, the woman who was supposedly in need climbed into a Mercedes-Benz. In a matter of minutes, she'd switched from driving a luxury car to holding up her begging sign. Even more alarming, her young child was unrestrained in the front seat. Melissa began to question the woman's authenticity.
She picks up this big boulder about this big, goes over her head, so I don't know pregnant people?
Especially after an aggressive encounter where the so-called pregnant beggar effortlessly lifted a hefty rock. While the police did investigate, they found no one home at the given address. Many believe this woman's begging days are over. Number 19. The Philippine Phony. A recent video surfaced from the Philippines, unveiling an individual's dishonest antics on the streets. This so-called beggar was recognized by a passerby who decided to confront him. When approached and questioned about his situation, the man's unease was palpable. Cornered by the inquiries, he made a swift exit. In his haste, a surprising revelation occurred. His supposedly absent leg was, in fact, very much present.
Nasa isang paa mo? Asa isang paa mo? Pakita mo. Tayo ka nga.
Talk about a miraculous recovery. Number 18. The deceptive drifter fake beggars aren't a new phenomenon, but it's particularly unsettling when they employ questionable methods. Consider this man who became an internet sensation in 2018. The video from China showcased his peculiar strategy, pretending he had no legs to gain pity. However, his ruse was quickly uncovered when some vigilant women set a snare for him. His reaction upon being caught was telling. Note to those considering deceit as a method: authenticity matters. Number 17. The Melbourne Masquerade. In 2019, Australia was taken aback by an organized begging scheme in Melbourne. Unlike your typical lone beggar, this was a coordinated effort. Sources revealed that this syndicate flew individuals from China, setting them up as beggars on Melbourne streets. Interestingly, many were in the country on tourist visas, yet they posed as needy individuals, reportedly earning up to $400 a day. The majority of this income was sent back to China. It's a setup that had authorities and locals alike bewildered. Besides the visa revelation, officials noticed another twist. Beneath the worn-out garments of these beggars were clean, everyday clothes. It's a discovery that might just make the people of Melbourne think twice when encountering a beggar. Number 16. The Manhattan Mirage. Setting up shop in the opulent corridors of New York's Fifth Avenue, one woman had her sights set on the affluent and the generous. With upscale stores like Gucci and Tiffany's lining the streets, Fifth Avenue is a magnet for the wealthy. Our enterprising lady posed with an apparent disability, and the crowds couldn't resist helping. The cash poured in, with reports suggesting she received up to 50 donations in an hour on her best days. Simple math paints a picture. 10 hours could mean $500 daily. But the facade began to crack when a news team decided to shadow her. Over several days, they unveiled a shocker. Once she left her spot, she'd change and merge with the crowd, unhindered and perfectly fine. Quite the act on the world's grandest stage. Number 15. George the Street Solicitor. George, commonly known as the Woodland Hills Panhandler, paints a familiar sight, drawing sympathy and coins from passers-by for years. With his senior age and a sign declaring unemployment, he managed to evoke compassion, but eyebrows rose when George was frequently spotted shopping, eating in his car and carrying bags. Investigations revealed a comfortable lifestyle, a home in an upscale area and 2 cars. When confronted, George admitted to feigning destitution since 2008, following the financial downturn that impacted his savings. "I was desperate. It was merely a way to bridge the gap," he stated, noting that the extra money supplemented his social security. While his struggles might have been real, misleading kind souls wasn't the best recourse. Oh, George. Number 14. The DACA deceiver. Countries with economic challenges often see higher instances of begging, and Bangladesh, facing its share of hardships, is no exception. However, a particular street beggar from Dhaka stood out, not for his poverty, but his unique selling point, a leg contorted over his shoulder. While it garnered sympathy and coins, a suspicion arose about his genuineness. When a documentary crew decided to investigate, the man initially responded aggressively, attempting to shield himself from the lens. Yet when he believed he was unobserved, his facade dropped. Confronted later, he candidly explained his act, showcasing how he manipulated his flexible physique. Perhaps his talents could find a more fitting stage, like an acrobatic troupe. Number 13. The Pretend Pauper. In 2018, the streets of Richmond, Virginia were buzzing with talk of a curious beggar. 2 locals spotted a seemingly healthy woman persistently pleading for money. Their intrigue led them to tail her, leading to a revelation. She drove away in a 2014 Fiat SUV. Homeless? Maybe not so much. When confronted, instead of admitting, she audaciously threatened to involve the police. Their exchange went viral. "Why do you have a 2014 car while asking for change? You'll be on Facebook." "Good. Delete that now." Despite her defiance, the issue was clear. With genuine homeless individuals in need, her act seemed especially unscrupulous. When questioned about her proclaimed disability, her responses remained evasive. Number 12. The Mansion Panhandler. Imagine encountering a beggar on the streets of California, always there like clockwork. He became a familiar face, collecting coins and meals from the compassionate daily. Yet evening would come, and he'd vanish. Most thought he found a corner somewhere to rest, but curiosity took hold of 2 locals. They trailed him, only to discover a plot twist. The beggar slipped into a luxury car parked nearby, driving to a grand residence. Seeking clarity, they approached him at his doorstep. The confrontation was tense. "Is this where you live? So you drove here in that car?" He responded defensively, even aggressively. "Jealous? Leave my property." From a needy figure to a confrontational homeowner, the revelations about this man raised eyebrows. Sometimes the truth really is stranger than fiction. Number 11. Bogus kidney disease. If you're going to be a fake beggar, the least that you can do is make sure that you've got the right props. It's why I have to give credit to this person, a man from Kenya who became popular in 2013 after faking a kidney disease just to get sympathy from passers-by. This man faked his disease for many years and even went as far as manufacturing a fake catheter to sell his condition. The guy would literally glue the catheter to his stomach and wear a shirt over top of it, so that nobody would be any wiser. And according to some reports, he would make about 300 Kenyan shillings every single day. That's about $2, and you'd really have to go through all that stress for a measly $2. The man claimed that his wife had died of AIDS and had left him with the children. And with no other income, he decided to turn to fake begging to make ends meet. But why didn't he just get a job or turn to family members for help? Is really anyone's guess. You do have to give him some credit, though. At least he was dedicated enough to get the fake catheter. Number 10. The counterfeit beggar from Bangladesh, as previously mentioned, is an example of an unfortunate reality. Many third-world nations become natural magnets for panhandling. Given the economic state of these countries, with countless individuals living beneath the poverty threshold, it's no surprise that many are seen asking for help. At least there's solace in knowing a majority genuinely need assistance. Yet it's genuinely disconcerting when you encounter perfectly healthy individuals exploiting the situation. A few years ago, a video from Bangladesh gained immense popularity. It featured locals from an urban area challenging a man who was merely sprawled on the ground pleading for alms. He alleged he suffered from a long-term illness, laying immobile on a mat, with only his breathing and occasional coughs as signs of life. But after some probing, in a seemingly miraculous moment, he sat up straight. Thankfully, after this revelation, he received guidance and was persuaded to change his ways. It was clear his ruse was uncovered. Number 9. The Kentucky Charlatan Panhandler. In 2016, a man named Gary Thompson gained notoriety when he was exposed for masquerading as a beggar. Famously dubbed as Kentucky's Charlatan Panhandler, Thompson didn't just feign a physical ailment, but also a cognitive one. Navigating in a wheelchair, he concocted various tales while intentionally distorting his speech to elicit more sympathy. Intriguingly, Thompson had pursued an education in speech pathology. Faced with employment challenges, he twisted his academic prowess, adopting a deceitful avatar. By impersonating a mentally challenged individual, he evoked compassion from unsuspecting people, and his tactic proved profitable. Thompson confessed to earning a substantial six-figure income from this ruse, all tax-free. However, his deception was eventually spotlighted by a vigilant news team capturing one of his performances. In the aftermath, he faced legal consequences for his fraudulent activities, resulting in a 14-month prison sentence. On the upside, he no longer had to feign homelessness. Number 8. A deceptive ploy backfires. It truly irks me when individuals feign disabilities solely for monetary gains. If someone begins questioning your narrative's authenticity, isn't that a hint that your charade might be unraveling? Consider this particular individual. A video captured roughly a year prior shows an observer who'd been eyeing this so-called beggar and opted to confront him. He inquired persistently about the legitimacy of the beggar's disability claims. Rather than retreating, the pretender kept soliciting funds. The interrogator's patience dwindled, urging the imposter to come clean, even if coercion was necessary. Such situations are cringeworthy. What's the next step after such exposure? Number 7. Panhandlers declining assistance. When encountering a panhandler, many people's instinct is to provide financial aid. But for Mike Potoff, simply handing out money wasn't the solution he sought. He genuinely desired to assist the panhandlers he met, yet they astonishingly turned him down. Let's dive into Mike's tale. A business owner in Iowa, Mike operates a convenience store. In 2015, he spotted two young men frequently begging near his shop. Rather than merely dispensing money, Mike approached the duo with an employment proposal. Astonishingly, they declined. It seemed they preferred soliciting donations over earning an honest wage. When they reappeared days later, Mike extended his offer once more, only to be rebuffed again. Instead of dismissing them, Mike opted for a unique countermeasure. He stationed himself beside the youths, brandishing a placard declaring, "Offered these guys a job. They said no, don't donate." Meanwhile, the two teenagers displayed their own sign, "Broken, hungry, please help." Observing this spectacle, one might argue that Mike truly earned the title of Businessman of the Year. Number 6. Dinesh's plight. The tale of Dinesh Dwivedi isn't about feigning injuries or deceptively posing as a beggar. It chronicles a man compelled by life's adversities to resort to begging. Dinesh's predicament caught the public's attention when those who once knew him identified him on the streets. Before his unfortunate descent into begging, Dinesh held a respectable position as a university professor, earning a monthly wage of 35,000 rupees, approximately $500. But a major concern in his life was his son's drug dependency. His son would repeatedly steal from him to sustain his addiction. Plunged into financial despair, Dinesh felt cornered. His funds were depleting, and out of desperation, he feigned a disability to elicit sympathy. His poignant story soon captured hearts, evoking widespread compassion. Many generously contributed to his cause, aiding his transition away from street life. As Dinesh embarked on his journey towards healing and normalcy, it serves as a testament that sometimes things conclude on a hopeful note. Number 5. The counterfeit soldier. One sentiment universally resonating with Americans is their reverence for the military. Tales of valiant soldiers, putting everything on the line for the safety of their fellow citizens, are always held in high regard. Veterans returning from service are typically hailed as heroes. Sadly, this reverence has led some opportunists to exploit it with deceptive begging tactics. Garrett Goodwin, a genuine Army veteran, encountered such deceit at a Tampa intersection. He observed a panhandler donning a military uniform. Nothing irks a true soldier more than someone feigning military service, especially if they are tarnishing the uniform's honor. This faux vet held a sign reading, "Army veteran, homeless, needs help." It didn't take long for Goodwin to deduce the act. Unsurprisingly, the ensuing confrontation was not what the imposter had anticipated. Goodwin confronted him. urging him to shed the uniform. While some criticized Goodwin for being overly aggressive, he remained unapologetic. To him, pretending to be a soldier was manipulative, playing on public emotions. In the end, it's genuine veterans who deserve unwavering support. Number 4. The beggar with concealed limbs. Some time back, a video of a particular beggar became a hot topic online. This individual had been seen for some time, navigating the streets on a basic four-wheeled board. His entire narrative was based on being disabled, hence his inability to find employment, compelling him to rely on the kindness of strangers. However, his charade was about to meet its end on an eventful day when an observant passerby sensed something amiss about the beggar's appearance. The suspicious individual pulled at the beggar's trousers, and to everyone's astonishment, the crippled man indeed had both legs intact. Seeing his deception unveiled, the beggar hastily wheeled away, likely pondering how he'd justify this revelation. Number 3. Bragging street beggars. In 2016, while in Lewiston, Maine, Bonnie Gould was heading to dine with her daughter when she stumbled upon an intriguing conversation. Nearby the restaurant's entrance, she spotted some street beggars animatedly discussing their day's earnings. As they continued, Bonnie felt a mounting indignation. Intending to notify the restaurant's management, she noticed the beggars had already returned to their posts, continuing to solicit donations. Frustrated, Bonnie chose to intervene directly. Tensions escalated when the beggars reciprocated her confrontation. Ultimately, the commotion led to the beggars facing charges. Intriguingly, their offenses weren't related to their begging. Instead, they were accused of physical assault. Number 2. Sham street musicians. We've all seen those roadside entertainers, setting up their little stage, showcasing a craft, whether it's playing an instrument or even dancing. As long as it grabs attention and entertains, bystanders will gladly contribute. But what if even this genuine display is staged? In 2022, the Okaloosa, Florida Sheriff's Office issued a cautionary note about deceptive violinists. These frauds blared pre-recorded violin pieces on speakers, pretending to play live. Seeking a quick buck, they hoped their audience wouldn't notice. A curious news team dug deeper, enlisting a violin expert to validate these performances. One performer, in particular, was blatantly miming. When a reporter confronted her about her performance, her charade quickly crumbled. Observing her rapid hand movements, it became clear she was a mere pretender. When faced with such exposure, who wouldn't want to make a swift exit? Like her, I'd be inclined to dash away too. Number 1. Golden State's nomadic beggars. Some time ago, investigative journalists unearthed a peculiar trend among a group of coordinated beggars crisscrossing California. While seemingly harmless at first, it was their eerily consistent messaging that raised eyebrows. From the streets of San Fernando Valley, echoing the plea, "Help needed, lost my job," to the corners of Santa Clara with signs reading, "Out of work, 2 kids to feed, bless you." Though to their credit, a few modified their story, claiming 4 kids instead. The shocking twist: many of these itinerant beggars were far from destitute. "So, you're genuinely unemployed?" a journalist probed. "You mentioned commuting here by bus?" It's baffling to imagine panhandling as a structured job, with schedules and territories. And while some professionals complain of tough work conditions, consider the life of these drifters. Their act, essentially exploiting the compassion of passers-by, potentially detracts from those genuinely in need. Such deception, to me, is both appalling and absurd, but I'm curious about your perspective. Ever encountered such a sham on your local streets? Share your stories below.